David Horowitz, author of bestseller Big Agenda, President Trump's Plan to Save America, has been getting extreme backlash from leftists lately, and he is now banned from CNN and the University of California, Berkeley. And he is here to tell us why. Mr. Horowitz, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You know, first I want to ask you about the CNN ban. How did this come about, and when did they permanently ban you?
Well, my publisher called, or maybe it was their PR person, to see if they could set up an interview. And they just said, we're not having Horowitz. Look, in my book, Big Agenda, Trump's Plan to Save America, I discuss a seminal moment in the campaign when it was during the second debate. Trump turned to the television audience and he said, you have to understand, Hillary has tremendous hatred in her heart. Mm-hmm. And what he was referring to was the basket of deplorables, where she placed what she called the irredeemable, the damned. And she named them racist, sexist, homophobes, Islamophobes, xenophobes, and accused Trump of raising these people up. All those epithets, all those names are designed to drum you out of the human race, basically.
Sure.
However, there isn't a conservative within earshot of my voice now who has not been in an argument with a so-called liberal or Democrat over policy or anything, who hasn't been called a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, an Islamophobe. The Democratic Party, the Progressive Party, the party of the left, is the party of hate. They are so consumed with hatred that they have rejected probably the most sacred political right in our tradition, which is the honeymoon we give to an incoming president. And we do that for a reason. We let the new president get in place. We let him or her assemble their team, and we wait until actual policies are unveiled before we, become critics again. And the reason for this is that our democracy was created to have a peaceful transition to power. That's the most important actual right that we have, this peaceful transition to power. So that people in America who come from other parts of the world are at each other's throats there. But in America, we agree to come together as a community and resolve our differences by elections. Sure. When the Democrats organized a resistance to the Trump administration, they were basically seceding from the Union again.
Right.
Saying, because what is a resistance? It's what partisans do to a Nazi occupation, not the proper role of an opposition party in a democracy.
And your background, you're familiar with that. You went to Berkeley. And speaking of Berkeley, the media seems to be following in their footsteps when it comes to free speech. And since Berkeley specifically touts their pride on that, why aren't they letting you on their campus?
Well, Berkeley, our college campus is not just Berkeley, but almost all major colleges.
That's crazy.
All major colleges, I'm saying that without exception, are one-party states. They're safe places for leftist ideas. They purge conservatives from their faculties. They purge conservative books from their required reading lists. Speakers like myself or Ann Coulter can't go to a campus without bodyguards. It's just dangerous.
Right.
This is an American fascism is what it is.
Absolutely. And, Chancellor Nicholas Dirk said in a statement last week, while there may at times be tension between these paired commitments, we cannot compromise either. Is this really the solution that, for these schools to back down to the students and these crazy left professors? I mean, what is this? They're bowing down to this violence by their own students.
Of course. They're Neville Chamberlains is what they are. Look. The more important question is, what's the matter with Republicans? Republicans control 33 state legislatures, I believe. The appropriations chair on those legislatures has the ability to put his thumb on the oxygen tube of the presidents of these universities, not Berkeley, because it's in a proto-communist state, California. But in states where Republicans are a majority, why aren't the appropriations chairs calling up these presidents and saying, you need to make your campus a safe place for diverse ideas. You need to appoint more, you need to appoint conservative professors so there's some kind of diversity on your faculties. You need to send out a memo to all your professors to assign conservative texts, reading texts, so there's not a bias in, on one side. 85% of our students go to state schools that are funded by taxpayers. And 33 states, Republicans have the power to correct the situation. Why aren't they doing it?
Sure, I think we all have that same question. And my last question for you is, what would you tell some of these students from Berkeley and students across the country that want to have speakers like you, but are being pushed back? What can they do?
They need to sue the universities for violating their civil rights, their constitutional rights. The Supreme Court has already decided this issue. The college Republicans at Berkeley canceled my event when they were told by the administration that they'd have to pay the security costs, about $6,000. That's unconstitutional. Get a lawyer, fight. Republicans, conservatives generally are too well-bred, too polite. They need to learn how to fight. Ann Coulter is a fighter. Milo Yiannopoulos is a fighter. You need to fight these people. They're not going to get out of the way otherwise.
David Horowitz, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.